Hey, good afternoon. My name is Vincent and this is Diamond Picks TV. And I'm here together with Idan Venneman, my partner at Diamond Picks, and we have Joel Happe. Welcome, Joel, as the guest. You have been our guest before, so we're going to talk this week about the news, of course, the analysis of the market, and also we're going to find out if I was right or Joel was right. What's on your mind today, Joel? What is the latest news you have for us?
Yeah, well, the latest news is still about the NFT market. Actually, you still see a lot of hype in the NFT space, and I think also now because of the war, maybe people start to realize that digital assets, you can keep them with you, and they cannot be confiscated that easily if you leave your country, for example.
Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. We're going to talk about that in depth, ladies and gentlemen. So what are we going to do today? We're going to talk about the news. Then we're going to talk about NFTs, what Joel is really excited about. And I am going to spend some time on the developers conference of Ethereum, which is in Amsterdam, and the blockchain week in Amsterdam. We have 8 days. And we have 5,000 people come from all over the world. And I basically went on tour and I interviewed a bunch of people. We have all the latest news about Ethereum and Ethereum 2.0, which doesn't exist anymore. But what happens, of course, with the whole proof of work and proof of stake affair, the acceleration of the number of transactions. And also I have 2 interesting examples of companies which I met, which I thought were very interesting. So, but before we do that, let's talk about the news which we have at the moment. And I think it's really interesting to see this slide. And this was the slide which Joel gave us last time you were here, and we were talking about what's going to happen with the market. Is it that was in January? Or it was in December or something like that. What time was it?
Was it 21st? Was it?
Yeah,
exactly.
And then,
exactly.
Yeah, and then we had an interesting thing. I say, hey, I see all kinds of positive news, and I think we're going to have a great year. And what did you say, Joel?
Yeah, I was a bit more skeptical about this year concerning this. But basically, I think for the longer term, I'm still optimistic, of course. I still believe in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, but just this year it will be a bit rough.
Yeah, and boy, were you right, because what happened is that the market went down 30-40% and 50% with altcoins, and why? And give us the overview. Why did you think it was going to be a tough year for 2022? Why was that?
Basically, that's because of a cyclical pattern in the Bitcoin prices. So yeah, it's a 4-year cycle basically. So 2014 and 2018 were also not the best years. So I was like, yeah, 2022 will probably also be not the best year for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies if you just look at the price. And also because of the technical analysis I do, I see things in the chart. So I actually also brought a updated chart today. Maybe you can show it, and I can tell you why, the ideas came from.
Okay, maybe you can give us the updated chart, Idan. Maybe you can share that, because I don't have that updated chart, but you do have it.
Yes,
can you share your screen?
I will share my screen.
Or you can share the screen yourself, Joel. You can share the screen yourself. That's also possible.
I'm not sure how that works, actually.
Okay. While Idan is doing that, I'm going to. Oh, here it is.
Yeah, but basically, what I told is that I expected the price to fight around 30,000. That was because last year we put a range there with 30,000 being the support for Bitcoin, and actually, so at the end of June we went down to 33,000 approximately, and there we found support indeed. And I told 3 months ago that I think there will be a move towards 47,000 approximately, and it actually went to 48,000. What I saw there is that basically we spent the entirety of December of this year, of last year, we spent in the range between 46,000 and 52,000. So basically that was a good level to find the resistance again. And now you see kind of a bear flag actually. So you have this sloping line at the bottom and it's moving up a bit. It's important that we keep that support. Next support will be at 30K again. And it needs to be seen where we will stand then.
Okay, so that's a big overview. And apart from numbers, 30,000 support, 47,000 support. I mean, what really happened is that we got a huge inflation and we got a war. But at that time, when you were predicting a bad year for Bitcoin, that was not clear. Do you think there's a connection between the real world and between investments in crypto? Because that is what screwed me up big time.
Yeah, well, actually, nowadays that's a good point to bring up there, because nowadays Bitcoin currencies also correlate Nasdaq, the real world tech stocks like Amazon and Netflix and stuff. And you see that because they are correlated, Nasdaq is retracing, so making lower prices. Yeah, the Bitcoin is also following. So just the cryptocurrency thing. It's also for the real world markets, and you see that there also is a lot of inflation nowadays. And the Fed, they try to combat with things like rate hikes to increase the interest on savings, and this also influences the traditional markets and also the cryptocurrency markets.
Yeah, and I think we look at it. We look right now on the Nasdaq one, and you can see really a very similar pattern that you see on Bitcoin. But on the Nasdaq, I must say, we see a much bigger trend downwards than we see on the Bitcoin. And that gives me hope that at some stage this correlation will disappear, like happened also 2 years ago when the corona started. Another indicator that we started looking at last week, and I want to look at it again, is the commodity index. And you see that it's continued to be on the uptrend. As long as that continues, we know that the war doesn't end, and that means that the pricing under pressure, supply chain is under pressure, and we can expect to see super hyperinflation, which of course also reflected on the 10-year bond, the US, which keeps on climbing. So we are not there yet. We are not in a point where that stopped, and that we can start talking about some some flattening pattern. We're still on the upwards in terms of inflation, and as long as we do that, and as long as we expect the Fed to increase the pricing, and yesterday they came up with saying that there will be 0.50% and not 0.25, then the market is under pressure, and that we can see that definitely reflects on the Bitcoin chart as well. Yeah.
Okay. Let's take a look here. Now you don't have to stop sharing the screen, Idan. I can just do it. You can be ready to share your screen whenever you want to. Let's look at the fear index. It's a little bit lower. It's even a little bit more fear than last week. But basically it's flat. So not much to be said about here. If we see that's really not influenced about the news about all the cryptos, right? I mean, there's a lot of positive news about the crypto. It's really the real world which is making that fear go on. And I'm really interested, what do people do with their money? Because you see the shares, people sell off shares, people sell off crypto. Last week we saw the inflows and the outflows of money. So money flows out of the crypto market, money flows out of the shareholders market. What are they doing with it? I mean, they must be going to bonds. I mean, the bonds, you saw that the bonds is going up. So that should be good for the bond market because of the interest rate which is going up. But I wonder what people do with all that money. Does anybody of you have an idea?
Yeah, so right now people are selling bonds. They're not buying bonds. And also the Fed starts selling the bonds because they don't want to have too much money in the market. And the problem the Fed has right now is that the market is the S&P is pretty high, and it's not going as down as fast as they hope to. So that's how they're increasing the pricing from 25 to 50. I think that a lot of people either are staying in the equity market because there's just too much money. Some companies are doing really well. Of course, Netflix is not doing well. So then you see 20, 25, 40% down.
Well, no.
But we saw it with Facebook as well. So that can be a beginning of a trend. But a lot of people are still on the equity market. A lot of people are on cash, just waiting. And that can be a good opportunities to crypto, because we do see a lot of positive news in the crypto world. And that's what I'm hoping to see in the coming weeks, that more and more people will start. And we have some slides that will indicate that even the retailer are starting to come back to crypto, and we'll show it clearly. One of them is the word pump on Reddit, and that's from Sentiment, that shows that the word pump is becoming a big, is very dominant around the retailer in Reddit. And we can see that the meme coins started to move up as well in the last couple of weeks. So that's a good sign. That's a good sign because the retailer has been so far stayed out of the market. And now we may see some sign and signals that they are coming back to the market. That's for me a good indication.
What's also interesting to note is that actually the downtrend in crypto started in November already. But if you look at just year-to-date performance, so January 1st till today, Bitcoin actually held quite well, because then Bitcoin is only down 13%, while something like Shopify or Netflix, they're down like 60%, PayPal's down 50%. So then crypto did pretty well.
Correct. So yeah, there's another slide I think we can show, Vincent, and that's the correlation between the DEX and that's the whales, and you can see that since April 10th was the point where there was the price went pretty low. Whales are starting again to accumulate Bitcoin, and that's again indication that the bull run may be pretty close. You saw it downwards trends from the whales for a while, and all of a sudden there's almost 750 million added, and I think one of them is Joel, of course. So Joel, maybe you can tell us about your. I'm joking, but that you could see that that's a good trend.
Yeah. What is your investment at the moment, Joel? What did you go back in the market, or are you still out?
Yeah, I'm basically I do a couple of trades per month. I switch between Bitcoin and US dollar, and also Ethereum. So just swing trading and following the trends.
And what kind of, and you basically I know that you're a slow trader, and you're into Bitcoin, so you've gone in and out a couple of times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So basically, for example, we had to run from 37K to 47K. Then you buy there and you sell on the way up again. That's the kind of trades you have to think about. But now I'm for the next couple of weeks I'm a bit cautious again, because I think we made a kind of a top pattern at 47K. So I see the 30s coming back again.
Yeah, and where do you go then? Do you go to BUSD, or do you go to USDT, or what do you do then?
Yeah, it depends
out of the market.
You are. Sometimes it's USD Tether that they offer. Sometimes they offer actual US dollars. It depends. On Coinbase, for example, you can switch to dollars. But on Binance, for example, you have to use USD Tether.
Yeah. Which stable coin do you trust, and which one don't you trust?
Actually, this is kind of controversial. I really trust USD Tether. I know they have also a lot of bad press, but I spoke with one of the founders actually, Paolo. He's working at Bitfinex, and the reason also why they created it's a really good idea back then, because back it was not easy to move your fiat money from another exchange, and they made it really to also use in high frequency trading. To use the spreads in the order book, and then you need quick around exchanges. And I actually think that they really keep the reserves. So I use the Tether.
Wow, you're one of the you have that's interesting. I mean, a lot of people I hear having a lot of mistrust in Tether and so like the U.S. government. Okay, let's ask Idan. You had this. I think you had this. Was this a slide you were talking about the dollar and the Bitcoin market?
Yeah, I found it the Rover RC. Actually, we had to mention it because it's a guy on Twitter who's making all those charts, and we don't want to have a copyright issues. That's a Rover RC who's making coming up with those charts, and this is an interesting one because what he makes a correlation between the DEX, the dollar index, and the Bitcoin, and he shows that every time the dollar, usually when the dollar is strong, Bitcoin goes down. And when it peaked, when we reach a peak, then when the dollar reached a peak, then the Bitcoin's ball started, and you can see it in the last couple of times that it happened. Now it seems like the dollar is reaching a peak right now, and so that may be indication that we are getting into a bull market again. Again, I have no clue if that's the case, but that's interesting to see that correlation.
Do you ever look at those kinds of correlations, Joel?
Yeah, actually, I informed a friend about this a couple of weeks ago. I said to him, he's learning trading. I said, also look at the US dollar index. I used it also because back in 2017, I didn't realize it yet. But if you look back now, like for the entirety of 2027, US dollar index went way down. And I knew that Bitcoin was trending up really strong in 2017, but I never realized this correlation. And yeah, 1.5 years ago, I found out, and I definitely look at this. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe the whales are also seeing that as well, and they start accumulating as we see that. So people are looking at. I'm sure a lot of people are looking at those kind of statistics.
It's also in for you the support and resistance of the US dollar index, and then you see if it bounces off, then the tech stocks start to bounce again in the other direction, and Bitcoin as well.
Correct.
Yeah. Interesting. Binance has been able to recover a portion of funds stolen. So I'm going to have another. I'm going to talk about one of the products in the DeFi market, which is an insurance against hacking. So you can insure if your fund, if you basically if you have put your coins somewhere and you stake them, you get 18%, and it gets hacked. You can insure yourself against Binance and other places, but Binance has been able to manage to recover of these funds stolen of North Korea. How much money was that, Idan?
Yeah, so a couple of weeks ago, you guys know, we talked about the X Infinity hack. X Infinity is the biggest play-to-earn game company in the world, from Vietnam, actually, based in Vietnam. Very successful company, and they're working with bridges, and the main bridge they're working with is Ronin Network, and it was hacked, and they managed to steal $625 million worth of Ethereum, which is huge. And the CIA has been saying that it came from North Korea. And I just saw it. It's pretty fresh news from 2 hours ago that Binance managed to capture some of actually a very small amount of the stolen ETH. Yeah, let's see if they get it more. But I think it's interesting that North Korea is becoming one of the biggest hackers around the world. They have apparently a big team who's being asked to do that. So they are actually being able to pay for the nuclear weapons. And so there's a pretty direct link between the hacking and the money they are making that's being invested right in their nuclear program. And yeah, that's pretty cool to know that they're getting some of the money back.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. So I hear it was about how much money has been stolen. I think about 10 billion. So $625 million.
No,
that's for this one. But if you take the total amount of the funds stolen in all, that insurance person told me that it was about 10 billion. It's about 10 billion was totally hacked of all kinds of different exchanges at different places. So, but they're starting to get back at retracing those kinds of funds. So that's interesting. Are you ever afraid, Joel, that exchanges you're using or blockchains you're investing in, or not the blockchains itself so much, but the things around it, that they get hacked?
Yeah. Actually, I also been victim to this in the past. Unfortunately, that's, for example, a project that I invested in. They don't exist anymore. For example, this is something that every invested in various tokens and cryptos has gone through, I guess. And also the exchange I used in the past. So, for example, it was BTCE. They don't exist nowadays. Mintpal, they ceased to exist. So throughout the years, this happened. And sometimes you dodge these kind of exit scams, and sometimes you get fortunately.
Yeah. Well, there's two things. One, projects can just fail because they're scam, or they just fail because they're not successful. That's one thing. And the other thing is that exchanges are being hacked. And what I see, that if exchanges are being hacked, that a lot of times they just pay it back. They just pay it back. Out of their reserves, they pay it back. So it's not like Mount Cox, which go bankrupt. No, they just say, "Oh, we lost 600 million. We will reimburse everybody," and as if nothing really happens. And that means they have really deep pockets. But
Yeah,
of
this
course,
also good.
you wonder how solvable these exchanges and these projects are. Just like, okay, you lose 300 million, and they just pay everything back, and like nothing ever happened.
Yeah, this is also good advice for newer people in the crypto space. Like, really think about where you put your money, because a lot of the bigger exchanges, they keep like an insurance fund. So, for example, Binance and Bitfinex, they have been hacked before, and they have reimbursed everyone. But if you choose a less known exchange, you run a lot more risk, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and this is a world which is not regulated. So, for example, if you take the biggest one, Binance, 26 million people, how much money would they have? Maybe the average is probably 10,000 euro. So it means like it's like 200 billion dollars they have there. And you have no idea how solvable they are. Or if half the money would flow out, would they still exist? You have no idea. And there's no official control institution which basically tells you, hey, this stable coin or this exchange is really good for the money. In this world, you have no idea. I mean, in the normal world, banks can just fall over from one day to the other. And that's why we have stress tests, that kind of stuff. But bank runs and bank failures were very, very normal in the first 200 years of the financial system. It's not so normal more anymore, but that's after a whole bunch of controls have been built up. In the crypto world, we're just starting. Do you have any idea, Joel, if Binance has a good solvability, that they can basically, if 30% of the people come and take their money out, that they can do that?
Well, I guess they keep a lot of their funds into cold storage, and they keep an insurance fund, because they make a lot of profit actually from all the trading that happens there. So part of it goes to insurance fund. So this also gives them some room to play with. So in Binance, I really trust, for example, but it's also something that needs to mature. Like you said, this was also not the same for the real world banks in the beginning days.
Okay. Last little news, it was an ETF. The ETF market heats up. Australia has 2 spots fund set up. Nice, Australia. When can we expect something like that in Europe? It's nice it happens in Australia, but I want to have it happen in real NFT, real ETFs in America and in Europe. When can we expect that?
Yeah, so first of all, this is another one, right? Because it's not the first one. There's another one in Canada, and there's in other countries as well, in South America, more ETFs. I think it's more important to talk about the US than Europe, because Europe will follow after the US. People are talking about right now end of this year. There are a lot of rumors. I read somewhere that Goldman Sachs is talking about that somewhere at the end of the year, towards the end of the year in Q4. There'll be an ETF approved in the US. Of course, that will give a huge boost to the price and to become able to get Bitcoin to the mainstream and crypto to the mainstream. Let's see. We don't know. It's been postponed so many times and delayed, and I think we need to look at it. Yeah, but we need to look at it on the bigger scheme of things, with the executive order of Biden and the regulation and all of what they are busy right now, and the MiCA. It's all connected. It will come. End of this year makes sense, but you never know. We
have no idea. Let's talk about the subject which you were interested in, Joel, and that is the NFT market. Talk to us about the NFT market, because you've been very interested. In that market, and you came up with an exact product, the Moonbirds. But how do you look at this NFT market at the moment?
Yeah, so what's really interesting is that last time we spoke, it was exactly 3 months ago, we had, for example, the Bored Ape Yacht Club project, which was getting a lot of popularity. It's still one of the most popular NFT projects. And back then, the floor price of this project was 85 ETH, and nowadays is 125 Ethereum for the cheapest Bored Ape. So you see that this market is still increasing in value a lot. And as you mentioned, nowadays you have the newest hype. It was from last weekend actually. It's released. It's called Moonbirds. You can show it on the screen. So the Moonbirds. This is a collection of 10,000 owl images. And they actually with selling and the reselling of these owl pictures, they made over 200 million USD in trading volume, which is of course a lot of money. And what's also interesting about this project is they were really upfront about their goals from the beginning. So they said this NFTs they are just for fundraising to start a media company. And they are actually one of the first NFT projects that's really upfront fundraising as the goal.
Yeah, why do you think this one was so successful? That how can you just having a bunch of birds, everybody can make that very quickly. You say it's a new way of funding a company. When you buy an NFT like that, is it basically a security? Do you say it gives you future earning rights or something like that? What kind of rules were attached to this NFT?
Yeah, so what they basically did, it's not like you get a share in their company, not like that, but they invented a new kind of staking. They called it nesting because of the bird, of course. So they say you can nest your moonbird, and if you nest it, you build up rewards over time. So this increases the likelihood for people to keep hold of them. And also there are only 10,000 of them, so they were a bit rare to begin with. But there also was a lot of controversy again and criticism because of how these got distributed. Some got given away to family or friends, was suggested. So there was actually some rage about this. But yeah, the founders, they marketed it well, and they also looked a lot at how the Bored Ape Club did this. So people want to be part of this club.
Yeah, I have a question to you. So, go on, Vincent. That's okay.
Go ahead, Idan.
No, so I think the reward system is very similar to what the Bored Ape doing, and I just read that there's some concern about the governance in the Bored Ape. Do you know anything about that? People saying that it's too centralized, all of this, and that can be a big scam. You could see that the price of the Bored Ape is being dumped in the last couple of hours as well. Do you know anything about that, Joe?
There's also a lot of concerns for things like trading and insider trading, and only a select group of people getting access to these kind of NFTs in early stage. Yeah. And this also happens at actually world art auctions. There are also a lot of people in the room there bidding just to increase the price, the floor price, but they don't intention of actually buying the piece of art. And this also happens with these NFTs. So there's also a lot of insider bidding from people to increase the floor price. So there's a lot of controversy as well. Yeah.
Yeah. You see a couple of examples. What I wanted to say is that the guy who started this is also it's Kevin Rose is a very much known person. He basically he worked for Google. He worked for all kinds of companies, and he also has this podcast Proof, which is all about NFTs. You know, it's one of the best listened to. So everybody has a nice collection of people, and everybody thought it was a great idea. And there was a lot of coin economics in the. It looked like it was a security, and you could really. It was an interesting way to make money. It's not about the picture itself. It's basically what it brings you to the community. And I don't know, since I think all the coin economics are the same for every NFTs, but of course every picture is different. I wonder, is there a huge difference in pricing that you know of, Joel? I mean, it went from 2.5 Ether to 10 Ether in a very short period of time, and then of course they got a percentage of the increase in value. That is really nice. But it's this is the first example of that you basically give out NFTs with all kinds of coin economics as a way to start a company, as a sort of alternative to VCs. And can you tell me how that works?
Yeah, so that's basically what they do. So they NFTs. So the people that really they own the money, they earn them the first initial sale, and also their percentage they get on every time these NFTs hands. And they were really, like you mentioned, really upfront about this. Like, we want to start this brand new cool company. There were also some people indeed behind this that have built companies in the past. And they were like, yeah, this is the way to do this. So it's kind of fundraising and using these NFTs. And people like to get the membership, so they believe in the project.
Yeah, do they believe in the project, or do they believe in the founders? You know, because this guy has a fantastic VC. I don't know the other founder, where he's also a pretty known person.
Yeah, it's a combination. They believe it's a good business proposition, and they believe that these people will also market these NFTs really well. So yeah, there's a lot of speculation also in these NFT space, of course. So a lot of people that buy the Moonbirds, they buy it with the idea that it will increase in value over time. So they can, for example, nowadays you can already sell them at a tenfold of your investment, because they went from 2 ETH to 20 ETH already. Plus, as long as you keep them, you keep stacking this membership with all kinds of benefits in the near future. So it's not a bad proposition for an investment, I guess.
No, that is really that's really incredible. But is it anywhere other than an initial coin offering? Is it any more interesting? Will this collapse also spectacular?
Well, no, I guess you have this Moonbird still. It will always have some value, I guess, especially if these kind of projects that are really well supported, like Bored Apes and Moonbirds, they will, in the near future, still have value. It's like a piece of real art as well. I think it's not too crazy of an idea. It's just a bit new, so then it's kind of grasp all the consequences.
Okay. Any more things you think, Idan? Will this be a thing to stay or not?
Yeah, well, I think we should do it for Diamond Picks as well. They gave me an idea how we raise funds. It's a very good idea, actually. So, yeah.
Should we make Diamond Picks? Should we make Diamond Picks NFTs, Joel?
Yeah, you could do something like that. And also, what then is really interesting, to also add some utility. So, for example, for Diamond Picks, my idea will be to implement utility that you, for example, get discounts on the trading fees that you do for them. So if you hold one of the Diamond Pick NFTs, you pay less fees. That's really interesting. It's kind of like how Binance Coin works, and also some other NFT projects that are involved in trading.
Yeah, very good idea. Let's work it out there, Vincent. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Let's go to Amsterdam, because in Amsterdam, I don't know if you went there, Joel, but there's this fantastic week. 4,000 or 5,000 people are there, 160 events, and they go from developer events to basically trips on the canal. Incredibly lot of parties. The weather is fantastic. Everybody really enjoys to come here. And all the main developers of Ethereum are here. The Ethereum Association is there with hundreds of people, and it's really interesting to see there. Let's see if I can get the slide of that Def in Amsterdam, and so it's called Def Connect. And Dev Connect is you can there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of events. And the interesting thing is, it's of course it's around trends, proof of work, proof of stake, and and scaling and that kind of stuff. But there's also a huge amount. Let me see. Why don't I? Oh, sorry. I basically then I'm showing all kinds of things, but you don't see it because I basically sharing the wrong screen. Let me see here. Yeah. This is the schedule. It happens between from last Monday to this coming Tuesday. Look, and these are all the events which are happening there, and they are in Krasnapolski. They're in the Beurs van Bijlage. They're at Boom Chicago. They're at Felix Meritis. Lots of different Willem Pakhuizen Zwijger. Lots of packages. You see, slowly when it's later, it becomes more partying. But it's really interesting how these things are, and I basically I interviewed some people about it. So I interviewed Wesley, and Wesley basically this is where I interviewed him here. I will not show you all these slides, but but here you are in the Beurs in Bijlage, and there's about 1,000 people working there on all kinds of different projects, big projects, small projects, and that kind of stuff. And I asked him what's happening here, and they say, well, it was fascinating how this Ethereum, which has a huge ecosystem of like 50,000 people working together on the code and hundreds of thousands of people who are using the code, how they work together. It's completely decentralized. There's only a few things like weekly meetings where 20 of the top developers are getting together, but hundreds and hundreds of groups are working on open source projects and are testing it to submit it. And I was really totally fascinated about the energy which is in the system. It was really they had a huge amount of smart and smart people who are working together on that. And there was also, of course, there's also Boom Chicago is taken over by Near. So there's a whole bunch of developers there. And there's a whole bunch of developers of associated. There's a blockchain conference. There's a lot of other ones which are there. So I think that is interesting to watch. Did you go there, Joel, to the blockchain week?
No, I didn't go there, but I'm really wondering, Vincent, did you also talk to them about Ethereum 2.0, the upgrade? Because for the last 2 years almost, they have been anticipating this big upgrade, and I'm wondering how is it going now? Where are we?
Yeah. Well, let's show you a little bit. Let's take a look at if we can. Let's listen a couple of seconds, and then I'll tell you the gist of it. Let's see here, because he says Ethereum 2.0 is dead. Okay, that's we don't talk about that anymore. What's happening there?
I can't hear the audio.
We don't hear the audio, Vincent.
So basically, for the last 1.5 year, people have been anticipating the migration from Ethereum from proof of work to proof of stake, and this should make the mining more, energy efficient, and also the transactions faster.
Couldn't you hear us or something like that?
No,
There's nothing. No, we didn't hear anything,
Okay.
Vincent.
But maybe you can tell us
That
what
is-
the guy said about Ethereum.
Let's see. Oh, now because you called me up, it's a little fucked up. So, okay, sorry about that. You didn't hear me. That's silly that I didn't. That I of course I could hear you, no problem. So we'll do that a little bit differently. Let me try that again. Here we go. Sorry about it, guys.
Back to the ecosystem, as has always been a major of. The merge is the things that are coming up are the merge. Obviously, I think that's one of the most exciting updates that have been maybe even
Promised forever, yeah.
Yeah.
That is. You mean the merge of?
the merge is the removing the proof of work consensus algorithm and migrating that to the proof of stake consensus algorithm.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to talk in depth about it because I'm very curious and I have a lot of questions. What else?
Scalability in general, I guess, has always been a major talking point as well. So there are several activities there. Still on layer 1 scalability, we have sharding coming up, and a lot more on statelessness clients or light clients, and really improving that base layer. On the other layers, you see a lot of technology emerging in the form of roll-ups or layer 2 solutions, which are even also happening in different variants.
Mhm.
So we have optimistic roll-ups, zero knowledge roll-ups.
Yeah.
And
So we're going to talk about that too. The scalability of layer 1 and layer 2. What else?
I think those are the most promising or the most exciting features that are coming up right now.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. And what else keeps you busy? I mean, okay. So that is, and then we're going to go in depth about what's happening with, of course, the most interesting thing I thought. Okay, what about this proof of work to proof of stake? And he says, it's really there's now at the moment there's already a test networking. There's a lot of people who put in staking. So he says they're doing a lot of lot of testing, and it seems to work really well. He says the quality of the security will go up incredibly compared to proof of work. So that's what he was very outspoken about that the security of proof of stake is much better than proof of work, which I thought, okay, I didn't know that was decided, but at least he says now he basically said that a lot of updates were done to prepare for this. I also thought, wow, how can these miners agree to this fork? Because it will be a hard fork. It will be a hard fork. And he says, well, the main miner pools have turned into stake pools. So the big players in mining are now into staking. They knew from the beginning that it was always the plan to go from proof of work to proof of stake. And that every month that it takes longer, that the miners are happy because it makes them more money. He doesn't expect that the hard fork, which will take place, that the old fork will continue. And he absolutely says it will happen somewhere at the end, between the second half of the year. And he says, hey, next year when we're standing here in Amsterdam again at this conference, it will be proof of stake. He was very convinced about that. So I thought that was really interesting. And then he says, well, from that moment on, Ethereum will not have inflation anymore, because now the mining reward is 4.5%. 4.5% a year. So the amount of Ethereum is expanded by 4.5% per year because of the mining reward. That will completely go away. There will not be any. There will be just the only inflation there will be is from there will be a teeny little bit of inflation, but it will go from 4.5% to 0.4%. And actually, also what's happening, if the gas fees become high, the stakers do only get the minimum amount of money. So if for example the amount of transaction fee, the maximum transaction fee is set up by the software. and say it's 0.2 something, if other people offer more, and they basically say, well, I'm offering more to basically get into the block, that money will be used to be burned. That will not go to the stakers. So there's no incentive for the stakers to not build enough capacity, because above a certain amount, it won't get to you. And all that thing will be burned. And so the amount of Ethereum will go down. It will be a deflating amount of Ethereum when this whole proof of stake has been implemented. And he says for sure in a year, and probably the Q3 or Q4. So I thought, and I asked a bunch of people about that, and they were really, it's now only tactical. Should we do this? Should we do that? Try out this, try out that. So then it will be proof of stake, very little inflation, and there will be deflation instead of inflation. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, I think the rewards also. I mean, the other thing is that the rewards will be much higher. So I think it's now that you receive 5% rewards when you stake, but it's going to go to between 10 to 15%, and that's going to be much more interesting as well to stake Ethereum than it's right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was. What do you think of that, Joel?
I think this is actually really important. This is something that has been in the pipelines for years, and actually something that we really need because the transactions get too slow and too costly. So this is a good step in the right direction.
Yeah. Now the next thing is charting. That will happen after this. Everybody's now focused on this proof of stake, and then after that is charting. Then it will be 1,024 different chains. So then the amount will be increased in about 1,000 times. So that will happen in the year afterwards. But in the meantime, there's a lot of layer 2 solutions coming to Ethereum, and they say we are better developed with Lightning, with level 2, so like Lightning with Bitcoin, than with Ethereum. There's already 20 chains are already active, and that will increase to about hundreds of different second layer solutions. So he was very positive. He was very positive about that. So I thought those, if you have, it's already interesting that. How much money do you think that Visa is moving, Joel, in 2021?
I forgot the numbers actually, but I seen last week, and it was really impressive that Ethereum did more.
You already know it. Okay.
I already know. I saw you show.
Yeah. So Visa moves $10.8 trillion, and that is 10.8 trillion, and Ethereum moved 11 trillion. So Ethereum moved more money, more value than Visa, but of course the amount of transactions were much more with Visa, but the amount is already bigger, and that is going to increase way more.
Really,
especially if you have all these second layer solutions, it will be instant and very cheap and very decentralized, because there will be many channels developing, like with Bitcoin.
Also, this is something that's still in development, technology. So it's really impressive that they already outdo Visa in terms of volume. And I think this also what you see, the problems that Ethereum had, is also why all these competitors really thrived, like Solana and Avex. So I think it will also be interesting to see if Ethereum steps up with their transaction speeds and stuff and their costs. How will the competitors do?
Yeah.
For example, for only floating.
Okay, let's move. We have to say bye-bye to Idan, because you're moving. We're continuing the conversation a little bit for 10 more minutes. So nice that you were here, Idan. And I'm going to introduce you now to an interesting person I met, because I always love to see these new companies there, and everything is being recreated in that industry, especially in the DeFi industry. So this was a company, and it was called Bright Union. And I'm sure you have never heard of Bright Union before. Let's listen to her for a second. This is Cynthia, who basically explains what Bright
take an
Union
example
is
here of a company, and it's called Bright Union, and I'm talking to Cynthia. And Cynthia, what is Bright Union?
Hey, yes, Bright Union is a decentralized insurance aggregator. So in DeFi has gotten really popular the last years, and it has grown exponentially. But also what happened is that the amount of hacks and exploits increased tremendously. So even in 2021 alone, more than 10.5 billion got hacked because of exploits.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you're aware of it, but the last month, 3 big hacks happened.
Absolutely. I mean, but it's always happening. And now you say, I can insure myself against hack. Okay, so let's first talk about what kind of products can I insure myself to. What are a couple of the products?
I think.
So let's. I will share this link. I will share this link with the people who want to listen to it, because I thought it was really interesting. And let's see, I have here somewhere. I have a demo. I have a demo of it. But you can insure yourself against that platforms are being hacked. So that can be Binance, it can be a coin, and they basically provide liquidity, and they also provide an overview of all kinds of things. I basically say, hey, I have $1 million. If I have $1 million on Binance, and I want to make I want to basically get it. How do you say that? Get insured against that it's being hacked. Then it costs you 2.5%, but there's another risk, 4%, 5%. They basically say the amount of liquidity, and then you can basically immediately get that insurance to your product. And it's happening a lot for people who want to stake, who basically are staking. At some places you get 17%, 18%, and then of course if that gets hacked, then you're not very happy about it, and you can insure yourself. That doesn't mean if the coin itself goes to hell that you get insured. No, it's only if that platform is hacked. That is, I just want to have it. I want to have an insurance that Binance stays alive. You know, I would say that would be really good to have a 2.5%. I would like to have 2.5% paid. But then, of course, if Binance falls over, everything falls over. So I thought that was really interesting that this kind of insurance companies exist, and that also somebody makes an overview of insurance company. This is a Dutch company with about 8 people in the Netherlands who basically works worldwide. So does that make you remember? Does it make your heart flow faster when you try to do something like that? Something useful with crypto, Joel?
No, this is really good that you also, you see it. A lot of companies are founded nowadays surrounding this crypto industry. Using DeFi and all kinds of services. You have like loan providers, and you don't need to go to a bank anymore. You can loan in crypto. And now you can also get insurance in crypto. I see. So that's only good. It's a new world.
Yeah. And I thought the interesting thing. So that was the last one. I thought was also interesting, and which I want to share, and that is. The form of auditors. How will auditors be? How will auditors be of the future? And this is a platform, and it's called codearena.com. And let's listen for a second what that company is doing. Let's see. Do they want to move? I cannot. I don't know why they're not starting. Start a refresh. So this is a platform, and they have a community of thousands of people who are experts on the field. Okay, here they are. Let's see if I can.
Every function in the financial world gets reinvented in the crypto world. Hi, what's your name?
My name's Kevin. I'm the communications director at Code Arena.
Yeah. And Kevin, what is Code Arena?
Code Arena is a crowdsourced security auditing platform. So we work with community members and projects of different sizes to create audit contests where community members compete between certain fixed dates, like 3, 5, and 7 day contests to try to submit findings of vulnerabilities and bugs, and they earn a share of the prize pool depending on the uniqueness of these findings.
Okay, so we're talking about smart contracts, right? So projects which are smart contracts, and you basically figure out if the code is correct and if there's no vulnerability in that.
Yeah, that's right. And we worked with different protocols like Aave, Sushi, Pull Together, Trader Joe. So we're able to work with a lot of EVM compatible projects as well.
Okay. So the Ethereum virtual machine, every contract which runs on top of that, you basically have the software to organize.
Okay, so that is another company. auditors, they are being replaced by a lot of people in the community. They have reputations, and based on the reputation, they are invited to participate in audit contests. But you can also come there together. You see the codes, and then you can say, hey, this code has vulnerability. And depending on the amount of money which is being priced out, then you get rewarded for it. And they started a year ago, and they've done, I think, 50 of these audits. And if you want something audited, you can start this week. And they take about 10% of the prize money to basically do the whole work, and the rest goes as prize money to the contributors. So I thought this was also very decentralized way, and you build a reputation this way, and of course they have their own coin and which used to do whatever.
These are much needed, because you see that a lot of you have projects with a good intention, just have some bugs or some things they didn't in the smart contract. So people put their, for example, in the staking pool, there's a bug in the code. So it's not a pool, there's no bad intentions, but the project still fails, so you can lose your coin. So it's really important to have people auditing these new smart contracts. It's all experimental technology, so you need to be sure that everything is going as planned.
Yeah, and that's I thought that was the audit network. And there's thousands of them are in Amsterdam now at Blockchain Week, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah,
and
sounds like something very useful.
Slowly, I see things becoming which are useful. The insurance of that something is being hacked is very much an internal thing. This audit thing is also very much internal. But the second layer solutions of Bitcoin and Ethereum, but also things like Solana, which are, can do a lot of transactions at very low cost, I think they are becoming more stable and they're becoming more interesting. Do you see anything happening that's in the crypto world which is already useful for our normal world?
Yeah, for example, I really like to go to festivals, music festivals, and you had a huge problem in the second-hand thing business, that people could basically, you have some people that they buy a lot of tickets and they sell them at a really high interest. So for a normal person, they cannot go to a concert festival anymore because the tickets gets too expensive. And now you have all kinds of solutions that they use blockchain technology to basically make the tickets into NFTs. And they are also programmed, so they cannot be sold for too much higher price. They can only be sold for a fixed percentage. And also it prevents also the doubles problem. So you cannot buy a ticket that is already being used. So these kind of
and of course you can solve that also with a platform, with database. I mean, it's more whenever it's not one company, but when it's a whole bunch of organizations working together with one blockchain, and that everybody can basically write to the blockchain and check from the blockchain, then maybe there's an advantage for a single database. But yeah, ticketing is an example which is already there. You also said that, did you go to this company? You said that Arctic is the first NFT platform from the Netherlands. Yeah. Which I thought was an interesting company. Is this? Did you visit them?
Not yet, but I plan to visit them also. They are located in Amsterdam. What I really like is that they are a marketplace to sell your NFTs for artists and creators. But they are a Dutch platform, so they will also make it possible to pay using Ideal, for example. So this could be really a game changer. And also at some of the NFT platforms nowadays, the marketplaces, you see a lot of people trying to sell art that's not really theirs, and they are also really strict about verifying the artists, so that you know that you actually buy from a real artist. That's the authentic collection.
What was nice is that they explain it pretty clear. So they have some. They have a list, and they answer the questions of how to use a platform like that. I thought that was really interesting. In their blog, you basically have to say how do you make an NFT, the NFT resolution, how does it work with fraud, how does it work with offering rights. offering rights, and they basically they have some useful explanations.
They
Here.
put
So
a lot of knowledge.
maybe we can go together and check them out and make a little interview about them,
It
because
would be cool.
because it's still, this whole NFTs business and offering rights is so weak. There's only normally when you buy something here, it means that this platform says, according to our records, you're the owner, and that's about it. And if another platform sells the same NFT, there's no way to figure out which one is the original one. It's really, really very hard. And certainly it's not connected to any kind of legal processes in every country. And of course, every country is also very different. So it's very interesting. Okay, but I am really interested when we get to useful applications. And that's always been my passion with the whole blockchain conference. And that stays my thing. I mean, the technology is interesting, but I want useful applications. But there is thousands of people running around in Amsterdam, and they all say, this is how we're going to improve. And then comes a lot of times difficult, complex story where you have to really listen many times and then feed it back to them before you really understand what they're doing. And but slowly, it goes slowly from one year to year, but on the whole, it goes very quickly. Are you still as fascinated about the crypto world? Is that where you spend most of your time, or do you have other things which you're interested in?
To be fair, I see it as part of my job, basically. I was more enthusiastic years ago because things like tokenization, NFTs. Basically, you remember back in 2017 with the crypto kitties that were NFTs. This is already from 2017. But the whole concept of tokenization is really interesting and used nowadays. And we have more useful applications nowadays. But it's getting a bit slow, I guess, because I was already interested back.
Okay. I hope that I hear an echo in your stuff, or some kind of weird stuff system. Anyway, Joel, thank you very much for participating. And let's see the last prediction in the next 6 months. Will it be going back and forth, or will it go up, or will it go down, the whole crypto market?
Yeah, so basically look at Bitcoin, and basically the altcoins, they follow Bitcoin pretty much. So I think we will still be in a range between 30 and 50,000 US dollar. And maybe for a worst case event, we can dip below 30K really short. But we will find support at 21 or 26 and bounce back quickly, I guess.
Yeah. And what is the upper limit which you expect if everything goes well?
Oh, for this year, so the upper limit for this year is around 52K, I guess. I don't see us go much higher in this year, but next year will be new all-time highs probably.
Okay. Thank you for your prediction, and thanks very much. And we'll see you all next week, Friday at 1:00. And also make sure that you look at that you basically come to Diamond Picks, because we would like to have you as a client. That would be wonderful. Let's see. I think I have here. Yeah. Let's end with this. Let's end with this thing about Diamond Picks. I want to explain to you who is Diamond Picks and what are we doing, and then at the end we're all gone by that. So take a look at this little movie of 2 minutes. And bye, Joel.
Goodbye.
Best investment opportunity today. The most well-known coins are Bitcoin and, of course, Ethereum. But in the last 10 years, cryptocurrency has been the best investment opportunity to date. The most well-known coins are Bitcoin and, of course, Ethereum. But numerous other great digital coins have shown a far better financial return. Many people stick with these two big coins, what's known as hodling, because they simply do not have time to manage it smartly. To achieve optimal financial return with cryptocurrency, you constantly have to monitor the crypto market, be up to date on political and macroeconomic events, as well as the stock market performance. It's a time-consuming exercise and challenging to figure out all by yourself. Diamond Picks has been created to make this unique investment opportunity accessible to you. The easiest and smartest way to invest in the crypto market. We are a group of experienced serial entrepreneurs with extensive backgrounds in the crypto market, finance, online services, and technology, and started a crypto investment fund 4 years ago with an 800% return in the last 2 years. During this time, we've developed a number of unique strategies from which you now can also benefit. You can pick a combination of strategies that suit your profile and goals. These can be focused on sustainability, minimizing risk, fundamental analysis, or focused on sentiment. You get a dashboard where you get clear insights in the results. You can always adjust the strategies to whatever your needs are. And the best part is your money always stays in your own digital wallet on the world's biggest crypto bank, Binance. And we do the rest. What do you have to do to join in? Simply register at diamondpicks.com and we'll help you on your way. Minimum investment is $5,000 and the first month is cost-free. This video is for general purposes only and does not contain any financial advice.